Welcome back to another episode of Inside the D. This is episode 6. We're back. We're finally back. I had to drop my sister off at college. Parker got his wisdom teeth pulled, and we've just recently started up school again. So we're back with episode 6. Today's topic is the Champions League, the entire Champions League season, all the way back from 6-7 months ago to now the Champions League final, which is between Bayern Munich and PSG. So we're going to go through every single team that made it past the group stage. So all the round of 16 teams. So we're going to start off with Real Madrid.
I was kind of disappointed in the way they played this year in the Champions League. They were the winners of La Liga. You expect a lot from the team that won their league, and it was really disappointing. They played okay. They were playing good, whatever, until they faced like an actually good team like Man City, where it was terrible football. They couldn't do anything. I mean, in the second leg, or not second leg, but second leg, you saw Varane, who just played horribly. Like, he's a world-class player. You can't be having one of your leaders on your team playing like that. I mean, it was just really disappointing because they're supposed to be, one of the best teams in the world, and they just played terribly. It was super disappointing.
I agree. I mean, it was really Man City's game, wasn't it? I mean, they dominated the whole game. Like you said, Rafael Varane had a few slip-ups. Happens to the best of players, but Man City looked like the better team. And it's ever since Ronaldo left, I think we can all agree that, Madrid has not been the same team. Obviously, they've won the La Liga title this year, but in Europe, they just have not been the same team. I think I said this in our first ever podcast, that Madrid is really declining when it comes to European football. And unfortunately, they ended in the round of 16, which is a shock in my opinion. Parker, you think it was a shock, or did you see it coming?
I mean, given the matchup and the team this year, I feel the quality of overall Real Madrid has just dropped a significant level, but especially by the benching of Gareth Bale and Hazard being out with an injury. They really look to like younger players with Valverde and Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. And I don't know, I just feel like they're too young, too inexperienced to compete at a high level with Man City. Even if it's the round of 16, like you're going up against Man City. They're just a whole nother level. Like, yes, they were good enough to win La Liga, but La Liga, the top two giants, Barcelona and Real Madrid, just haven't been on form recently. So, I mean, I don't know. From Real Madrid, I expected this against Man City.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Manchester City is a dominant team, and they just, again, like I said, were the better team. So we're going to stay in Group A, the second team to make it out of the group stage, PSG, who obviously made it to the Champions League final, narrowly escaped against Atalanta, where they scored two 90th-minute goals. Are we disappointed with them? Do we think they should have won it, or did they live up to our expectations of making it to the Champions League final?
I think it was. I mean, I think they were playing fine. All right, they made it past the group stage, whatever. The Atalanta game, though, I really don't think they deserved to win that game. I mean, they played horribly, and I was super disappointed that a team like PSG, they are one of the best in the world, and we saw that later on. But they should not be having close games like that where they just got 2 goals in the 90th minute. I mean, they should have been dominating that game. But I think once they got past that little rough patch, they got back to their top form. They were playing well, and then they made it to the finals. But I was honestly disappointed in their final game. I mean, their front three just did not look very good. Mbappe, Neymar, and Di Maria, they all missed like good chances that they could have scored. That could have been 3 goals right there.
I agree.
I was disappointed in the final, and I think the way they played, I didn't see them winning the Champions League.
I understand. Parker, do we think Ilicic not playing for Atalanta with the whole getting cheated on type thing, does that affect Atalanta, the fact that he wasn't playing?
Of course it does. You're looking at a guy who scored 4 goals against Valencia in the round of 16 in one leg. Like, that's kind of unheard of. And to have the top goal scorer just not be there anymore and having to rely on your second string or other guys to step up, it just really brings the play from Atalanta to just shift completely and do a whole new play style where they were looking for Ilicic to just bang in goals and be the finisher there when he just wasn't an option anymore. But overall in the match, I feel PSG they had a ton of opportunities, and Neymar, not one of his best games that I've ever seen, but he did still make the chances, and I feel if we're looking at missed chances, it should have been a high scoring affair.
I agree with you on that one. I absolutely agree. We go on to Group B with the other Champions League finalists, the winners, who I believe we all thought were going to win, is Bayern Munich. They won every single game in the Champions League. I believe it's the first time that's ever happened. When they made it to the final, was it ever any doubt that they were going to win?
No, I mean, I think maybe for the first couple, the first half of the game, everyone was kind of thinking, oh, maybe PSG has the chance. But everyone in the back of their mind knew, like, there's no question Bayern's winning this game. I mean, they dominated almost every team they played. I mean, Barcelona, we saw 8-2. Chelsea was 7-1. They were just dominating teams on the way to the final. So it was obvious that they were going to win. I mean, they just have they have the strongest team in the world, and I think they're going to be even better next year with the addition of Sané.
Absolutely. I actually thought that Bayern was going to crush PSG, if I'm being honest with you. So 1-0 was a shock for me. Parker, what do you think?
I mean, 1-0 statistically looks at like a normal result between the two sides, both being powerhouses from their respective leagues. But the way that Bayern had been playing up to it, I thought that would have been a slaughter. I didn't think PSG had a chance at all, but I guess they did. And I mean, PSG, you got to give them credit. The defenders, Thiago Silva and was it Marquinhos that game?
I believe it was.
I think he was playing.
No, Marquinhos was
CDM.
playing at
Marquinhos
CDM.
was playing CDM.
Was it
Kerr,
Kerr?
maybe? Could have been
Yeah, Kerr.
Yeah.
But they did a excellent job holding down that line and not allowing them to capitalize on any of the chances that they made. And it was honestly a great defensive showing in the first half. And yes, there was one slip up in the second half, but what can you expect? You held Bayern Munich to 1 goal that season. That's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like Iko said, Mbappe had that one really, really good chance to take the lead earlier in the game. A couple of chances for Munich as well. But PSG, a lot of chances to take the lead, to equalize. I mean, there was one at the very end. Choupo-Moting almost had an equalizer in the 90th minute again. I mean, PSG very, very close, and they definitely surprised me in that Champions League final. Again, staying in Group B, Tottenham, Banter Club. I mean, come on. I know I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm a biased Chelsea fan, but do you expect anything less from Tottenham? I mean, come on.
I mean, we saw that they're just a weak team this year in the Premier League. They didn't even play well in the Premier League. What can you expect them to do in all of Europe? I think it wasn't a surprise to anyone that they were getting knocked out early.
Absolutely. Parker, any comments about your favorite team, Tottenham?
Why would you even make that comment? I mean, they've got the pieces, but like they were all injured, and they were just an injury-plagued side at the time. So in my eyes, there was no chance that they were even coming close to beating Leipzig, and that's in the end what happened.
I agree. So again, Group C, we talked about Manchester City earlier with Madrid. We have the team that was supposed to buy the Champions League, basically, buy their way to the Champions League final, and they were knocked out by Lyon. Manchester City, again, beating Madrid, losing to Lyon. It's mixed for me. Iko, do you think that they exceeded your expectations? I mean, what did you expect from Manchester City after beating Madrid?
I mean, they definitely did not exceed my expectations. I expected a lot more. But I'm happy that they lost Lyon. I really liked Lyon. They were like the Cinderella story of this Champions League. But I mean, Manchester City is like, it's one of the best teams in the world. Nobody can argue that. The fact that they're getting knocked out from not even the best team in their own league in Lyon, you can't have that happening, especially with the amount of money that you've put into this team. Like, everyone expects at least the Champions League from them. And I mean, we saw that in Europe, they just weren't able to compete.
And you have to think too, Lyon were on a high after beating Juventus in a 2-legged fixture. But also that, like you said, they finished 7th in Ligue 1, I believe, right, Parker? 7th? Yeah.
Maybe even lower.
Who knows? I have to double check on that. But the point is, they didn't qualify for the Champions League next season. The only way that they were going to make the Champions League was to win the Champions League, really. And obviously they didn't. If you think about it, Manchester City was one Sterling tap-in away from going to extra time and possibly moving on. But that was probably one of the most shocking things I'd seen all Champions League season. And Kyle Walker played in goal. That was pretty shocking. But Sterling captain to me was the most shocking thing that's happened all season. Parker,
Finally, what happened? I mean, all I gotta say is we finally learned what happened if Kane centered it.
If Kane squared it to Sterling in the World Cup, Sterling would have missed. So
Yep.
that's the question that's finally been answered after 2 years of being asked. So yeah, that's Manchester City. I believe they must go further. They have to go further. If you're Manchester City and you spend so much money on these players, you have one of the best managers in the world, dare I say, of all time, Pep Guardiola. You have to go further than this. You just have to. It's really a shame. I mean, I don't mind it because I'm a Chelsea fan, so I don't want to see City winning the Champions League. But with a team like that and all the money you spent, you have to go further than where they went, the quarterfinal. But
I mean, I feel Pep is the reason. I feel like he feels he has too many components within his squad, so he always feels the need to change up his squad, and it really showed in that match there. Like he put Gundogan, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. That was probably horrible, but he put him in there. But like, I don't think I'd seen him start like the past like 10 matches or so.
Questionable. It was really questionable.
I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't the right squad to go up against Lyon. It was a more like laid back squad when he should have just gone on the ball aggressive team that would have just powerhouse right through them.
Right.
I don't think Bernardo Silva even played that game.
I'm not sure. I think he came on late, but should be playing more.
You can't even blame it. You can't even blame it all on Pep because Man City had so many chances. Like Aiden talked about the Sterling. I think Gabriel Jesus had a couple of chances. I mean, they had so many chances to put it in. With the team they have, they should have at least like scored a couple on Lyon. It was so disappointing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I do agree with Parker in the sense that he underestimated Lyon a bit, right? I mean, he probably thought they were going to cruise past Lyon, and he didn't play his players correctly. He put, like you said, Gundogan in instead of Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva, yeah, he plays right wing, but he can also play in the mid. He's played that a lot this season in the Premier League. I have to blame it a little on Pep, but you also have to blame the players. It's not just the manager's fault. It's always the players and the manager. But that's just me. We go on to our next team in Atalanta. Again, Iko said underdogs. Cinderella story was Lyon. The other one being Atalanta. Obviously, the heartbreaking loss against PSG in the quarterfinal. They lost their first 3 group stage matches. If you're an Atalanta fan, or just a soccer fan in general, when you see Atalanta losing their first 3 group stage matches, would you expect them to go all the way to the quarterfinal?
No, not at all. And I don't think a lot of people even expected them to make it past the group stages. I think they were the only team who lost like 3 games in the group stages, but still made it out. And I mean, I think a big reason of why they lost to PSG like late, the 2 goals in the 90th minute, I think it was terrible coaching. I mean, the coach pulled basically all of their leaders in the second half. Took out Gomez, who's besides Ilicic, since he wasn't playing, Gomez was probably one of the most like important players on the field. He pulled him. Like he also pulled Duvon. He took him out too, the starting striker. You just can't do that when you're fighting to make it to the semifinals. I think that's something that can't happen. The final.
I agree. And Parker, do you think, you're in Lyon's position right now, or excuse me, Atalanta's position. Do you think that they ever had a chance of actually winning it?
I mean, the whole competition, it really just depended on the other outcomes of the matches. Like, could I see Atalanta beating Bayern Munich? No, I cannot. I feel like their play styles are too similar. And if their play styles are like too similar, whichever team has more quality players will just take the match.
Which is fine, yeah.
By far it's Bayern. I mean, just look at them. Anyways, I mean, Atalanta, they definitely had hope. Ilicic was a big blow. I think if you're an Atalanta fan, you're looking at that season and you're saying we can improve, and we have the next transfer window to improve.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Now we go to Juventus. They won the Serie A. They sacked their manager after his first season, Maurizio Sarri. Ronaldo looks frustrated. I wouldn't say he's that frustrated to the point where he wants to leave. Do you have to beat a team like Lyon, or was it at the end of the day Lyon's game?
I mean, look, they were down 1-0 coming back from coronavirus. But I mean, still, with the team you have in Juventus versus a team like Lyon, you've got to be able to win that game. I mean, Juventus won the Italian league, and how are they not beating Lyon? It's I think it surprised everyone. And I mean, although Lyon did just barely get past with the away goals, but still, like Juventus should have definitely dominated that. I think it's sad because I mean I hate Juventus, but as a fan of the Italian league, I don't see Juventus being able to compete in Europe. I think our only hope, sadly, is Atalanta. So
Really?
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Parker?
I mean, I feel like Juventus just didn't have all the pieces in for their team to succeed. They had they had a I wouldn't say good midfield. I'd say okay midfield with Pjanic and whoever they decided to throw in that match.
I
But
think it was Rabiot.
yeah,
Rabiot.
Rabiot. And then I feel they didn't utilize Douglas Costa enough. I've, he's on it, right?
Yeah,
That's the right
Douglas
person.
Costa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Costa, Douglas Costa. I feel like he didn't get really utilized at all, and neither did Quadrado. I
Mhm.
mean, I just feel like it was a team that was just get the ball to Ronaldo or Dybala, and let's just let them do their thing.
Which didn't
When
end up
that's
working
not because I mean, if you watch the match, Leon just sat. They pocketed Ronaldo. They had someone just following him basically the whole match. Dybala, he might have been injured
He
that
got
match.
no. He was in for a little bit, but he got hurt.
He did. I mean, yeah, he came off.
Yeah, he was battling an injury.
Mm.
So I think if you're Juventus, you gotta get more pieces to be that can be more dynamic, which is kind of what they're doing right now. And I think there's a lot of I feel like that's a match they have to win. Not only is it that they have to win, they have to destroy Lyon, a smaller team who didn't even finish top 5 in their league. In Ligue 1,
In
like
Liga,
what teams are
lowest quality league in, I believe, all of our opinions.
out of the top 5, yeah.
Top five, that's right.
I mean, that's they won Serie A and now they're losing to a 7th, 10th, I don't even know, mid-table team in Ligue 1.
That's right. I agree. I mean, you have to beat Lyon if you're Juventus, like Iko said. So I expected a lot more, and I think we all did as well. Moving on to our next team. The thing I hate the most in sports is, unless it's my own team, of course, is back-to-back champions. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So I just wanted Liverpool to lose, which they did before the coronavirus break. Atletico Madrid beat them in extra time, I believe, at Anfield.
Mm-hmm.
A bit underwhelming after that, correct?
I mean, I don't know. I was extremely surprised when Liverpool lost. But I was happy to see it because I'm not a huge Liverpool fan. I like Atletico Madrid. I was happy to see them win that game. But yeah, I mean Liverpool, after basically dominating the Premier League, the fact that they come and compete in Europe and they get knocked out in the round of 16. I mean, you shouldn't be the best team in your league if you can't even make it past the round of 16 in all of Europe.
Best team by far, too. I mean, they were winning the league by miles. I agree with you. Atletico Madrid, again, they have great players. They played really well. You cannot take that away from them. But then they lose in the next round, and it's kind of underwhelming. Kind of expected it to happen. Parker, did you expect Atletico to beat Leipzig?
Expected. I wouldn't say expected. I'd say hoped and could see. I honestly, in that match, I saw it going down to pens because I thought the two sides were just so evenly matched, and I felt Atletico didn't have like a striker that's like the striker, like yes, they have a bunch of really good strikers, but I feel like none of them are like the striker like we can rely on every single time. I mean, Joao, yes, he did really well in earning the pen and also scoring it, but I feel like there wasn't enough. Like there just was. I feel like the Leipzig just outran them, just kept the possession too long. Like parking the bus wasn't going to work against them, just the way they played. So, and it really showed.
I agree. And we just obviously talked about Liverpool, but we're going to talk about them for a little bit longer. They played well in the group stage. I mean, not that they had much competition. Napoli was their only competition, really. But again, we just said Liverpool, they lost in the round of 16 in 2 legs. So it wasn't a fluke. It was 2 legs against Atletico. Disappointing. If you're going to win the league, the best league in the world, the Premier League, by a landslide, I expect you to go past the round of 16. But like we just said, Atletico was the better team, and it happened. So we move on to our next team, Napoli. Average, in my opinion. I mean, Iko, what do you think about Napoli this campaign?
They didn't have a great Serie A season. They finished 7th. So I mean, after that, I didn't really expect much from them in the Champions League. I mean, at first I thought maybe they could get past Barcelona, but then like right when the game started, you could just tell Barcelona was winning that one.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect much out of them, but it's sad to see a team like them go out early because they've got a lot of great players. They just weren't able to put it together.
I agree. I totally agree. Parker?
Yeah, I feel Napoli had the components, but it's just unlucky matchup against Barcelona. So I felt they could have played better than they did. And yes, they put up a good fight, but it just in the end wasn't enough.
Again, I totally agree with that. And Napoli is my, I have a favorite. I feel like we all maybe have a favorite team in each league. I would say Napoli is my Serie A team. So of course I wanted them to go all the way. In our first podcast, I think I said I really wanted Napoli to beat Barcelona, but like Iko said, once the game started, you sort of knew what direction this game was heading. Unfortunately, not in favor of Napoli. We go into our next team. Again, it's in order technically, but FC Barcelona. I mean, there's a lot to say about FC Barcelona. Iko, you want to start us off here?
I mean, it was just so disappointing to see a team like Barcelona, one of the most popular, one of the most famous, one of the best teams in the world, lose 8-2 to Bayern Munich. Like, don't get me wrong, Bayern Munich is a great team, but when you're Barcelona and you have a player like Messi, when you have players like Messi, Piqué, great player Ter Stegen in goal, you can't.
Young at midfield, I mean, everybody.
Yeah, you can't be losing 8-2 to any team, and I think it's super sad because honestly, I think that game is one of the main reasons Messi is leaving. So could you say that maybe if they would have won that game and not lost so badly, would Messi have stayed? You don't know that, but I think honestly, this Champions League, this year, just basically, I think it's going to start the downfall for Barcelona.
They're going to turn into the next AC Milan.
Okay.
You knew it was coming. I definitely agree with you.
To be sad.
It had to be said. Again, I totally agree with you. Ridiculously disappointing. Ridiculously. It was expected. I feel like, in my opinion, it was expected for them to lose against Bayern Munich, but 8-2. I mean, Parker was coming over to my house, and I remember the game had just started. He was 5 minutes away from my house. He comes down. It's already 4-1. And he's like, what just happened? What's going on here? So I didn't expect the 8-2. I mean, it was ridiculous. But now Barcelona is doing a full cleanse with players. Is that the right idea, Parker? To do a full cleanse, get rid of a bunch of players or not?
Honestly, I think it is. I just don't think they were looking at it the right way under the old management. I mean, they swapped Arthur for Pjanic. I mean, I just you're trading a 23-year-old for what, like someone who's about to
30.
pass their prime. Yeah, 30.
I mean, no one's denying that Pjanic is a good player. I mean, of course he's a good player, but for Arthur plus cash, come on.
Exactly. It's just not. I don't know what's going on over there, but you've already got Vidal, who's old. You got Rakitic, who's old.
They're both going to be gone too.
You got Piqué, who's old. You got all these old players, and it's just like, why bring in a new one? You've got young people on the rise. You could have had a sick midfield with De Jong and Arthur, but ship sailed.
I mean,
agree.
that midfield would have been around for who knows how long, 7, 8 years. They would have been great. But
Uh,
also, I think it's time that Barcelona lets go. And I've seen a couple things from some Barcelona fans that they want these old players to go because they're kind of just holding the team back from being able to progress. Like because they got to start these players. Like Messi is amazing, but I think it's just time they let him go. I think it's time they let Piqué go and they start using their young players more because they've got great players that just sit on the bench the whole time.
yeah, absolutely. So that's Barcelona again, ridiculously disappointing, but what can you do? It's sports. It happens all the time. Upsets happen all the time. But we move on to the second best team in the group of death, Borussia Dortmund. I would say their biggest accomplishment this campaign was making it out of the group of death.
Yeah, and I think it was definitely a disappointing loss that they had to PSG, but nobody really expected them to beat PSG. Maybe after the first leg, some people were like, "Oh, they're gonna win," but when you first see it, you're like, "No." Like Dortmund's good. Don't get me wrong, but PSG's obviously winning that. And even if they would have made it past that, I don't think they would have made it far at all.
I get it. And Borussia Dortmund have a group of some of my favorite players in the world. I could go on and on, name 10 players that I just absolutely love. Uh, but you're right. I mean, they're a great team, but they just didn't have they don't have what it takes to go past what they did. So, Parker, did they exceed your expectations or did you expect it to happen?
I think they did exactly what I expected. Yes, I wanted them to beat PSG, but did I know they were going to lose? Most likely. I mean, they had a great chance. They're up 2-1 coming out of the first leg, but PSG had that away goal, and I just don't see the defense of Dortmund comparing to the offense of PSG. I feel like PSG's offense was just way too much for the back three to handle. So it showed in the results.
It really did show. Moving on to our next team, I would say another sort of underdog team. I think it's probably one of the most underrated teams in this Champions League campaign. We have Leipzig. They played well. Obviously, Werner scoring a lot of goals for them. He made his transfer to Chelsea, so he didn't play the rest of the Champions League games with Leipzig. They still ended up beating Atletico Madrid with a late goal. At the beginning of that game, was it Atletico or was it Leipzig for you?
I mean, I think a lot of people didn't expect Leipzig to be there in the first place. But once they were there, people were kind of like after the game kept going on and on. People were like, "Okay, Leipzig, I think they're gonna win this one." They just looked like they had control. I mean, Upamecano played absolutely great, but I was really sad. I mean, I get Timo Werner was sold to Chelsea, but I was really sad that he didn't play because I think that he owed that to the Leipzig fans and the Leipzig team to just finish out the season. He could have led them to one of the greatest things to happen for this team. He could have brought them to the semis, maybe even or to the finals. I mean, it was just sad. I think he should have continued playing. Something like what happened with Ilicic, like he should have played as well. It's something that would mean so much to the fan base and to the team, but they just decide not to play.
Absolutely. And Parker, think about this for a second. Obviously, we're both diehard Chelsea fans. We love to see Werner touch down in London. Do you agree with Ego that Werner he owed it to the Leipzig fans to come play in that semifinal?
I wouldn't say he owed it. I'd say he should have played, but owing something to an entire fan base is a lot to ask for, especially when Leipzig wasn't even his childhood club or anything. It was just where he got his chance to shine. And I feel if he played, yes, that game would have been very different. I feel Leipzig had dominated control in that match, and they just ultimately dominated the ball the whole match. And Timo would have finished all the goals, all the chances that they had. He would have easily finished all of them, and it would have just been a totally different dynamic to the game.
I
But it's
agree
like
and disagree. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about
no,
that.
no. I was just gonna say like, what better did he have to do than go and play in a Champions League semifinal game or go and practice with your new club? I get it, but he's been at Leipzig for a bit now. He's been playing with them. He probably has a great connection to the team. Why would you rather go and practice with your new team when you could go and play in the semifinals of the Champions League, like almost any kid's dream?
Absolutely. And again, I agree and disagree with Parker. The disagree part is I do think he owed it to the fans. I mean, Leipzig, it's not saying much. They're a very new club since like the whole rebranding, 2009, I believe it was. I think it's safe to say that Werner is a club legend once he leaves. I mean, there aren't any club legends really for Leipzig. He is definitely a candidate for one. And I do think he owed it to the fans. I mean, he was their best player. He's been their best player for the longest time. And he's leaving, and he needs that farewell match. I mean, imagine they won the semifinal, and his farewell match is in the Champions League final. Whether they win it or not, he's in the Champions League final. I mean, I'm an optimistic Chelsea fan, but who knows when the next time Werner's going to play in a Champions League semifinal or final? It's definitely doubtful. But
I mean, do you think possibly, this is just an idea, that Chelsea maybe could have, told Werner that he didn't want to play, like he can't play in that game? Because, you never know, like Chelsea, if Werner would have played in that game, brought them to the finals, maybe he would have decided, like, you know what, I think this team has what it's got. I want to stay here, and kind of just try and get out of the move to Chelsea. I mean, do you think they were worried of that happening, so they tried to tell him, like, no, don't play in the games?
I mean, it's a huge possibility.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true because Timo, it was his decision to leave. It wasn't like, oh, like Chelsea's like buying me or whatever. Like the team has decided like this is where they're selling me. It was Timo's decision to leave. So I feel like what he could have asked for a loan till the end of the season, like we did with Pulisic, and have him finish out the Champions League and then join Chelsea. But I feel like it was more of his decision since he went on break right after the conclusion of the Bundesliga.
Okay. Again, I agree with you. I do think if he goes, possibly Chelsea doesn't want to risk him getting injured. I mean, he blows out his knee in the semifinal. They lose. He comes back to Chelsea. He's out for 6 months. I mean, then what's the point of buying him? I think Chelsea may have said like, "Hey, we just paid for you. You're going to be a huge improvement to our squad. Don't play because you could get injured." And that's just something that Chelsea's not willing to risk. And I agree. Maybe Werner's not willing to risk either. Who knows? No one's ever really going to know what was said behind all those closed doors. We go on to our next team we've talked about a lot already in this podcast, so we'll just touch on it a little bit. It's Lyon. Did not expect them to do as well. I mean, there's a lot of teams in the Champions League this season that I didn't expect to do nearly as well as they did. They're going to lose a lot of players next season. They're not going to play Champions League next season. They're not going to play Europa League either, I don't think. I mean, was this a fluke, or can we possibly see this maybe again next season in terms of will they do well in Ligue 1?
I mean, I think with the players they're selling arguably one of their best players on the team, Aurier. I think with the with the selling of him and the other couple players that are going to leave, I don't think we're going to be able to see a team like this team compete next year in France or in Champions League in a couple years. So I mean, I guess it was I don't think it was a fluke this year, but I think it was like a one-time thing. This team was together once.
They're losing basically what they have. It's kind of like the Ajax 2018-19. They're kind of losing. Exactly. They lost De Ligt, De Jong, Ziyech, Van de Beek. They're losing all their guys.
Yeah.
Agreed, Parker?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, moving on to our next team. I bet you guys forgot that this team was even in the round of 16. Valencia. I mean, manhandled by Atalanta. I mean, come on.
I don't think anyone expected anything else.
No, I mean, keep in mind, Valencia won the group with Chelsea and Ajax. I mean, Ajax didn't even make it out of the group. Valencia finished top. Didn't expect that, but nobody really cared. I don't think anyone really cared about Valencia. No offense to any Valencia fan.
Says the Chelsea fan.
If one of our 4 people that actually watch us regularly is a Valencia fan, I apologize. But I mean, I would name them as the irrelevant team of the Champions League, right?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Not much really to say about Valencia there, but
they got manhandled by Atalanta.
And that's sort of what set the stage too for Atalanta. They were kind of like, people started to realize, whoa, Atalanta's the real deal. In reality, it's like they are, but you're beating Valencia. It's not like beating Munich or Barcelona. Our final team, I saved them for last, not only because they were in the last group and they finished second, but they are the greatest team in the world, and it's not even close. And that's Chelsea Football Club. Blue is the color, football is the game. I mean, it's just what a performance. I'm just kidding. kind of expected, though. Let's be honest. Finished second in the group, drew Bayern and lost. Did you expect to beat Bayern? No. Maybe
Not at
leg
all.
one. Leg one, I maybe was like, oh, we have a chance, and then it was 2-0. I'm like, nope. Then it, ended how it did.
All the goals were like 10 minutes apart. So
Yeah, I remember we watched in our chemistry class, Parker and I, and we were convincing
tough watch.
we're convincing our teacher, hey, can we watch this game? She's like, sure. We closed our computer after 10 minutes because we were just like, nah, we can't watch this. We can't. I would say one thing about Chelsea. I want to talk about one group stage match in particular. One of the most exciting matches I've seen. I watched it at school as well. Ajax Chelsea 4-4. Reece James with the
I
equalizer.
got kicked out of my Spanish class.
I got kicked out of
watching
Eco's
it.
Spanish class because I was being too loud when James scored, and then Azpilicueta with the winner, offside. It is what it is. Most entertaining game, in my opinion, maybe besides the Bayern Barcelona game. Definitely most back and forth, not back and forth, but most entertaining game for sure this season in the Champions League. Do we have any comments? Ego, at least say something nice about Chelsea.
I mean, I was just extremely disappointed by a team like Chelsea to lose 7-1. I get it was Bayern.
Hey.
Wait.
you're
Why
gonna
were you
say something
disappointed?
about?
Did you
Over two
expect? Did
matches.
you expect more?
I didn't expect it to be an absolute thrashing. I mean, I remember in our round of 16 podcast, Parker and I both said it's gonna be a thrashing, and then Aiden came in. The classic Chelsea fan. It won't be a thrashing. It'll be kind of close.
We scored.
No, hey, yeah, one
Once.
to their 7. Okay,
To their
7-1.
Callum Hudson-Odoi's got called off, which was kind of baloney.
He's a beast.
And it was also a banger. So
I didn't even care at this point. When Chelsea scored the first goal, I didn't. Because keep in mind, I'm already sad because Parker will tell you, we watched the FA Cup final together. I literally stormed downstairs and cried for 20 minutes. I mean, losing the FA Cup was bad.
dude, no, that was 3 hours. You cried and then you slept for like 4 hours.
I actually did sleep.
And you didn't talk to me.
Oh,
was like,
I
Aiden.
wanted nothing to do. I had a pillow over my head. I wanted nothing to do with
I was like, Aiden, let's go do something. And you were like, ah.
Yeah. Accurate representation for sure. I wanted nothing to do with anyone. We lost Pulisic in that game.
And Cesar.
He was in such a good position. Like, he was in such good form. I was like, this is our chance to beat Bayern. 4-0 to the lads. 4-1 to Bayern Munich. I mean, it's just it is what it is. I'm very hopeful. Look, I'm already rambling about Chelsea, so I need to stop. So we're gonna stop talking about
Next
that.
year's gonna be sick.
Next year's gonna be great. We've talked about every single Champions League team that made it out of the group. We're gonna talk about one more team, Sevilla.
AC Milan. Oh
No, definitely not AC Milan. We're saving that for the relegation battle podcast. So Sevilla won their 6th Europa League title. It was actually new to my knowledge that I found out they had a three-peat a few years ago, which is crazy because that means they won the Europa League and then got knocked out of the Champions League.
One knocked out.
2 years in a row after they won it. So that's hilarious to me. But they're the kings of the Europa League. I mean, was there ever any doubt that they were going to win the Europa League?
Well, when Inter scored the opening penalty, I again hate Inter, AC Milan fan, but when Lukaku scored the penalty kick, I was like, oh no, Inter's gonna win this game. But you could just see as the game moved on, Sevilla was just dominating. And then I love to see that Lukaku own goal. It was, I mean, some say it was an own goal.
Hold on.
It was a great. It was.
You're gonna call that an own goal? It was a bicycle kick.
I don't think it was an own goal. It was a great.
It was gonna miss.
Goal. But I love the fact that the guy that they paid so much for, their leader, whatever, basically lost them the Europa League. It was hilarious.
Still gotta respect
whatever.
I have to say, I was in Colorado on vacation. Not on vacation, dropped my sister off at college, and I wasn't able to watch the game. So the boys were texting me. I got 85 notifications of the boys just talking through the whole game, also arguing who's better between Chilwell and Hernandez. We're gonna get into that another time. It's Chilwell, but so anyway,
no question.
I get a text from Parker saying,
"Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "What's happening? What's happening?" He starts freaking out. Bicycle kick! I try and find the video. I mean, I was so sad I didn't get to watch that game, but.
I mean, I was happy because the guy who gave Inter the penalty kick to start the game scored that bicycle kick.
Was it really?
He was crying. Yeah.
It was a great game. Again, I watched the highlights. I wasn't able to watch it live. Luckily, you guys were. But I have to say, those jerseys are nice because they have the patch on the Europa League 5 patch. If you guys don't know, I'm a jersey fanatic. Like I'm a collector. I mean, I collect a million jerseys. That's one I definitely want to add to the collection, a Europa League patch one.
You can get Rakitic on it next year.
I know, I was thinking that. I was actually thinking that. But they're going to be in the Champions League, so I need to hope that they get relegated again to the Europa League and then win it. That'd be unbelievable if they did that. That'd be ridiculous.
That's
all right.
messed.
So we've talked about all the teams, including the Europa League champions. Keep in mind, Inter Milan were in the group of death in the Champions League. They went down and made it to the final. So now there's a portion of the podcast that I like to call "Who Does He Play For?" I believe Parker is over 20 in the first one. So we basically have 5 players, one from each of Europe's top 5 leagues. I say the name. You've probably never heard of them, and you have to tell me what team they play for. So, starting off in the Premier League, we have Jason Molumby. What team does he play for?
Oh, wait.
No. Surely he doesn't know who it is.
It sounds so familiar.
I hope he
go one for
I need
21?
you to get everything wrong. If you get it right, I'm going to be mad. Come on.
I'm going to say Norwich City.
Brighton. They play for Brighton. Unfortunate. Now we go to the French league, the Ligue 1. Zinedine Ferhat.
Dude, I have no idea.
Not quite for them.
FC Metz.
No, Nimes, if I'm saying that right. And then we go to La Liga. Alex Sola. Yeah.
Valencia.
Oh, Real Sociedad. Now we go to the Serie A. Federico Marchetti.
Sassuolo.
No, Genoa. Now we go our final one. Can he go over 25? We all want to see it. He plays for the Bundesliga. In the Bundesliga. His name is
Plays for
Stefan Ilsanker.
I don't know.
Can he get it right, or will he go over 25?
SC Freiburg.
No, Frankfurt. You got the letters right, but unfortunately,
Oh.
that makes you over 25. Again, we will see how you do in the next one. See if you can get one right. 25 attempts, 0 converted, unfortunately. But that concludes our podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We apologize for the long absence because of all the stuff that was going on. We're going to try to do one every Saturday. Don't hold us to it, but we're definitely going to come up with a good structure and get things going. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. One more thing, guys. If you want to check out our social media, we have our Twitter here, our TikTok here, our Instagram here. Make sure to give all of those a follow.